I bought her from England. Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we have today is something that I am very excited about. We have the McFarlane Toys DC Direct Page Punchers Supergirl from Injustice 2. Now, like I said in the beginning, this I had to order from overseas. When I've been waiting for Supergirl to be released in the States. We knew it was released overseas, and I thought we were coming to a point where McFarlane Toys wasn't going to release her stateside for whatever reason. So I actually ended up ordering this from the UK. Now, luckily, the eBay seller that I bought it off of only charged an extra $5 for shipping. So I ended up spending not more than what the actual retail cost here, even in the States, is for this figure. I was kind of impressed, and it got here really fast, like really fast. I was surprised at how fast it got here. But of course, literally 2 days after I ordered this off of eBay, that's when McFarlane put the figure up for sale here in the States. And I just kind of threw my hands up. But this was on its way, so I didn't order another one. And actually, she got here fast and is in really good condition. You see the comic is falling a little bit inside the box, but that's all. I don't even really care about that. Includes comic book, English language, DC Direct. We have the big window where you can see the figure, you can see the card, you can see the comic, you can even see her accessories that she comes with. DC logo, Supergirl down here. On the side, more window, DC logo, DC and McFarlane Toys logo up top. Page punchers on the bottom. On the back here, we have a good promo shot of her. We have the cover of the comic for different languages down here. And right here, you can even see distributed by Bandai UK Ltd. in the UK. I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to see. And then we have Supergirl Injustice 2 comic. So, without further ado, because I am really excited, this literally just got here. Like, I'm filming this early Saturday morning. I'm not sure when I'm going to put the video up, but I'm filming this early Saturday morning because she just showed up on my porch, and I just wanted to get her open, get this done, and let's all just take a look at her. So without further ado, let's open up this box and take a look at McFarlane Toys DC Direct Injustice 2 Supergirl. Okay, here she is, Kara, out of the box. And putting the tape measure to her, we can see that she has approximately 6 3/4 inches to the top of her head, which is very interesting because if I remember correctly, McFarlane doesn't usually downsize their female figures, and this makes her considerably smaller than the rest of the line. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I do like, change in sizes in the line. I'm just curious why they made Kara this much shorter than the others. We'll see in the size comparisons if I'm right about how she measures up to the other female figures. Bringing her up close, we're going to take a better look at her, and let me just start off by saying this is not my favorite version of Kara. This is not my favorite version of Supergirl. The main reason I even bothered picking her up and ordering her from overseas, from the UK, is because we haven't even received a comic-accurate version of Wonder Woman yet. I highly doubt we're going to be getting a comic version of Kara anytime soon. Although I do think it's amusing that we went from no Supergirls in the States to now we're going to have 2 Supergirls, this one and the one from the Flash movie lineup, which I do have coming, but neither one of them are going to be a comic version of Supergirl. So taking a look at her, let's bring her up close and take a look at the face sculpt. The face sculpt isn't bad. It's very soft. I feel like it could have used a little bit more detail with the paint. And the hairpiece isn't bad either, going for sort of like that bob cut look. But I really think they went a little overboard, a little hard with the dark wash in there, that I might actually take some yellow paint and try and fill that in. It just, I don't know. It looks more like a bad dye job than anything. I get what they were trying to do. I just don't think it worked. I like the gold on her, and I'm not a big fan of the gold in general, but I do like how they made it stand out. They made it pop. It has a bit of a metallic look to it. It's shiny as it needs to be down here on her legs too. And something else that I like about this is that it has the gold S on her back, which I don't think we've had any Superman figures that actually have the S on it on his back. I don't have all of them, admittedly, but I don't think any of them have that. So I like that. I appreciate that they put that back there. Of course, we have a solid shell of a plastic cape with a little bit of motion in it, like it's blowing in the wind. Something I'm really looking forward to with the Flash lineup is getting those cloth capes. I'm going to be interested to see how McFarlane Toys does cloth capes. But you can see it, there's like some hang, some wrinkle to it. And it attaches to these shoulder pauldrons here. Looks like there's a little bit of mist paint there on the back of the shoulders. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe just a little bit right there. But for the most part, as always, the paint job on this figure is really clean. McFarlane's really good at the paint jobs as far as like overspray or missed spots go. And we have this texturing to the suit. Now, typically McFarlane has a habit of texturing suits that don't need it, but I'm pretty sure this is a holdover from Injustice 2. I'll be honest, I've never played Injustice 2. I played the first one. I really liked that, but for some reason I never picked up the second one. I think I just got focused in on Mortal Kombat. We have some more texturing and some design down here around the legs, around the knees, and then we have her sort of half boots wrapped around the ankles. And I think they did a really good job with this too on some of the detail work. There's a little bit of texturing right there. I like how they kind of just wrap around the ankles right here. And then her boots have some nice detail to them as well. You can even sort of see like, you can even sort of see like detail work down here around the ankles and some almost a wrinkle right here along the foot. That is one thing I have to give McFarlane. Like McFarlane Toys, and I really have, and we all know that comes out because of Todd, his attention to detail for stuff like this. There's always some really good detail work on these figures, sometimes to the detriment of the figure that it interferes, it gets in its own way. Speaking of getting in its own way, let's check out the articulation. Her head will do a full 360 spin. She can really, really get some good looking up, which is really good considering she's a flying figure. She can look down fairly well, and she has some really good head tilt side to side. Now mine, just as a side note, my figure, especially on the head joint when I first popped her out of the packaging, was really, really stiff. I had to heat her up a little bit, but I'm willing to bet that's more because it came from overseas and went through a bunch of different temperature changes on the way over. I'm willing to bet that had something to do with it. The ones that you buy here stateside may not have that problem. The arms will do a full 360 spin, but her shoulder pauldrons get in the way, but also these are a soft rubber, so they do kind of get out of the way a little bit as well. Her arms will come up to 90. She has a butterfly joint in there. Bicep swivel. Double jointed arms on some really thin arms that I like, but you can also see that there's a little bit of a gap right there in the arm joints. It's not terrible, but it is worth noting that it's there. Wrists will swivel. Wrists will pivot up and down. Oh, that's popping off. Wrists will pivot up and down, or you can do this. You can do that. You can move them, and now they'll go in and out. Let's move her arms up out of the way. You can see she has an ab cut right here, that she can do a full 360 turn on the ab, and I don't know if you heard that, but it's still really stiff right there. She can crunch back. She can crunch forward a little bit, and there is some side to side in there as well, but then she also has this ball joint at the waist that once again will do a complete 360. She can crunch back, so using all of them, she can really get into a good flying pose. She can crunch forward with that ball joint, and then that really also gives her some really good rock side to side, but you also got to watch because it'll start to gap right there. Now her legs will come up to 90, and you'll see she has that soft rubber diaper that like McFarlane puts on a lot of their figures, so it does get up out of the way of the leg. And I don't think this one is nearly as egregious as some of the other ones are, like on Catwoman or something. I feel like this one is slimmed down, a little form-fitting, that it does fit into the character well, that it's not, even in the back, you can see it's not really prominent right there. Legs will come out to the side to 90. She does have that swivel joint, but it's not very good on her. She's one of the ones that it might as well not even be there. You can go in a little bit. You can go out a little bit, but that's about it. Double jointed knees with some really good travel. Ankles rock back. Whoops. Ankles rock forward. Forward facing pin for rock. And she has toe articulation, but also interestingly enough, she's sort of, if you want to put her feet flat, she has that bow-legged stance that a lot of McFarlane figures are developing lately. And I don't know why that happens, but you can kind of see that, like, once it gets to the knees, they start to curve in a little bit. I was going to say it does make it hard to stand, but now that I've been playing around with her, she's going to make a liar out of me. But you can kind of see how they sort of bow in down there at the bottom. Out of the box, you can see that Kara comes with a pair of set of relaxed open hands. And she comes with a pair of clenched fists, which I appreciate anytime the supers come with fists. They all should come with a pair of matching fists. Like all McFarlane figures, Supergirl comes with a figure stand, a black disc with the DC logo tampoed on the front, and I really wish she would have come with a flight stand. She's another one that I feel like should have had a flight stand packed in. Like all McFarlane DC figures, Supergirl comes with her trading card, or her collecting card rather. You can see right here, this is the cover of the comic, instead of just being an image of her. And then on the back, she has her bio. Go ahead and pause and read if you want. And of course, there's the comic book that it comes with. I haven't read it yet, but I did flip through it. The art is pretty good, and just by going through it, I'm kind of curious to see what the story arc is in this. It looks like there's some multi-dimensional shenanigans going on, as there were in the first Injustice game. But there's some pretty good shots of her in action right here. And yeah, the art's not bad. It's a pretty decent book. Looking forward to reading it later when I'm done with this video. And now for size comparison, here she is beside McFarlane Toys' DC Multiverse Wonder Woman from Wonder Woman 1984 and Catwoman from Arkham City. Here she is beside two more offerings from McFarlane Toys. We have Ciri from The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt and Maleficent from Disney's Mirrorverse. Here she is beside my current two favorites of the rest of the Trinity, McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman from Batman Arkham City and Superman from Action Comics 1000. Here she is beside DC Multiverse, Superboy Prime, and General Zod. And here she is beside DC Direct Cheetah and Mattel's Masterverse 40th Anniversary He-Man. Here she is with Hasbro G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Origins Scarlet and G.I. Joe Classified Series Baroness. Here she is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Trooper and Hasbro Marvel Legends Walgreens exclusive Quasar. Here she is beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. And finally, here she is beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. So is this my favorite version of Supergirl? No, not by a long shot. I don't dislike this version, otherwise I wouldn't have bought this version, but this isn't the one that I really want. I'm not a big fan of all of the gold. I understand why people like this version, especially people who are fans of the game. Totally get that. But I would much rather have a comic book version of Kara in what's kind of become her classic look. And if we can't get one for the comic book, then maybe one from like the Arrowverse, one of the Arrowverse figures from like, what was it, the first 4 or 5 seasons before she got the full bodysuit. I wouldn't even mind getting the full bodysuit version of the Arrowverse Supergirl. Heck, this one is halfway there. She just needs sleeves. But I really want to have like that classic look for her. I know people have issue with the skirt, and it's not because it's a skirt. It's just because like that's how I picture her in my mind. Put a headband on her and you got the, Crisis on Infinite Earths classic cover with Clark holding her body. Like that version of Supergirl is just so burned into my mind that like I really want that version. I also find it amusing that we've gone from having no Supergirls to having 2 Supergirls, this one and the one that's coming in the Flash lineup. And that one is on order, and I'll be getting that one, and we'll definitely be comparing her to this. Now, as far as this figure goes, this is solid. I'm amused that she is shorter than pretty much everybody else. I know in the comics she's usually portrayed as a bit of a shorty. I'm just surprised that McFarlane Toys went and did that because they're usually not one to worry about scaling too much. So I like that she's short. It fits her. It fits her character. I'm just kind of amused and intrigued that they went ahead and did it. As far as complaints go for this figure, my two big ones are that wash in the hair isn't really working. They need to do something different with that. The other complaint that I have is, and this is pretty much across all of the McFarlane figures, they need to put some type of leg swivel in there, a better thigh swivel. That hidden joint that they're trying to do, when it works, it really works, but it very rarely really works. More often than not, it's like this figure that we have right here, that there's virtually no outward turn. You can turn inward, but big deal, you can't turn outward. And I don't know, maybe if I put some more heat on it, maybe it's still a little bit seized up from travel from overseas. I don't know, but I just really, really wish they would put a more traditional thigh cut in their figures rather than that hidden joint that they're trying to do. NECA has mastered it. It works fantastic for NECA. McFarlane, not so much. Another little issue that I have with it, and this is more of a personal nitpick than anything else, she should have come with a flight stand. The fact that we keep getting these super figures with regular stands and not a flight stand, that's a missed opportunity. We really need flight stands for maybe not every flying character, but definitely for the supers, and especially definitely when it's the first version of Supergirl that we get. As far as what's good, I like the face sculpt. I think the face sculpt looks really good, and I think that could be used for another version of Supergirl. Maybe put a different hairpiece on her with the long blonde mane. I don't know. It's a little soft. I think a little bit more of a paint app could really help that out, but I do like the face sculpt. I like the figure in general. I like the body design. I like the sculpt. I like the molding. I really like that she doesn't have one of those big, like, loaded diaper looks to her, that like the crotch piece is a little bit more slim, a little bit more form-fitting. It sort of blends with the rest of the character, doesn't stand out like Catwoman's and a few other ones do. I was going to put a link to the eBay seller that I bought this off of that got it here from overseas, but there's really no need to, because now, like I said, 2 days after I ordered her, it's available in the States now, so there will be a link to more local vendors that can get this figure to you. I can't wait to take a look at that other Supergirl that comes in. I know nothing about that character, if that's Kara, if that's a different Supergirl, what the whole deal is, because obviously there's going to be some multiverse shenanigans with Flash, so I'm curious to see that character, and I'm curious to see that figure, and we will be taking a look at her when she shows up. So until then, play well everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.